Hey y'all, hey y'all, hey, this is your life coach Tonetta. I want to welcome you all to this video. This is our workshop Sunday. A little bit late, but it's okay, but it's definitely our workshop Sunday. This workshop Sunday today is by how to deal with difficult people. And I'll give a little bit on forgiveness, of course, towards the end as well. But like I said, this is by how to deal with difficult people. Again, I want to welcome you all to, like I said, the workshop Sunday. I'm your life coach, Tonetta Clay. And of course, you're a social worker as well. Of course, here to inspire you to think bigger and to empower you to become who you are. I do want to, of course, point out a few things, before, I guess, a few housekeeping things before we get started. Just to let you know that there'll be a link, of course, Instagram in the bio and Facebook in the Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever you're seeing this video at besides Instagram, there's going to be a link in the description of the video. That's going to be taking you to my link tree. That there's going to be an ebook on there called Where Are You? I want you, it's free for you all to pick up. I want you all to go ahead and pick that up. And that particular ebook, will give you, will help you create a foundation for your life. I guess I put it that way. It'll definitely help you create a foundation for your life in 7 different areas like relationships and health and fitness and that kind of thing. So I know a lot of times we're trying to change and trying to move forward, but we end up spinning our wheels, not knowing what to do next. We have to figure out where we're starting from in order to know where we're going, y'all. And that ebook, like I said, is called Where Are You? With the link either in the bio or in the description will take you to, we'll walk you through to figure out where you currently are and to help you figure out where you're going to. So make sure that you go ahead and picking that up. Like I said, that's free for you all to, of course, download. And it will greatly help you all figure out the foundation for your life, y'all, and make sure that y'all get on track and that kind of thing as well. So I want to go ahead, excuse me, y'all. I want to go ahead and get into the workshop for tonight. Like I said, the topic for the workshop Sunday today is how to deal with difficult people. And thank you, Lily, for tuning in. I hope that you're doing well. So I know that we all, of course, no matter where you are in life, no matter what you're doing in life, no matter how old you are in life, a teen, a young adult, a senior, whatever you want to call it, any stage that you are in life, you're normally going to have a few difficult people to, of course, deal with. It could be, of course, a boss. It could be a person that you're renting from or buying a house from. It could be your next door neighbor. It could be your partner. It could be your parents. It could be a grandparent, a cousin, anyone. But like I said, we definitely will never not have a difficult person to deal with in our life. Like I said, we'll always have that. But I'm hoping that these things that I go over with you about how to, like, some steps to deal with difficult people, how you can, of course, incorporate that into your life and how you can, of course, put that into your conversations and the relationships that you have with the person. Like I said, sometimes, like I said, we just cannot omit them out of our lives. I guess I put it that way. So, and like I said, I'll get more into that towards the end of the video, but just keep in mind that we can never get rid of difficult people. I guess I put it that way. You're always going to have them there, no matter where they are in the workplace, the home place, at the doctor's office, wherever they're going to be at. But you have to learn how to deal with people in order to get the things done that you need to get done. That's the main key here, y'all. Because I know a lot of times, because I'll give my story about this too, dealing with the person that I'm renting from or leaving the apartment with. I'm of course renting from. I look at her as a difficult person. And of course, I had an incident with this person or some conversations this week in the past 2 weeks of that kind of thing that's been really difficult. And I was trying to, of course, avoid her calls and all those types of things. And I had to realize that why am I avoiding this person? Whatever's going on has to be dealt with. And like I said, these are the things that came out of me having to deal with that particular person, so I can let you know, of course, I've surpassed this. I'm already moved past it, that kind of thing too. Because this is not the first time this has happened with anybody else. I've had other difficult people in my life. But like I said, I know you all may have some as well. And just let me tell you that avoiding the person is not the key. Because you're still going to have those issues after you're done, after everything is said and done. So like I said, I hope that these tactics and these tools will definitely help you. So let me go ahead and get into the first one. Like I said, difficult folks will always be in our lives. No matter what stage you are in life, until you die, they're going to be in your life in some kind of aspect. So the first thing is to choose your battles. You have to think about, can you even communicate with this person without an argument? Will this person actually hear you, and can you hear them? Not meaning that can you hear what they're, like the tone of their voice, but can you understand where they're coming from? And can they understand where you're coming from? And just keep in mind that sometimes we can, of course, have a conversation or try to have a conversation, and nobody's listening to anybody. People are trying to out-talk the other one. People are trying to dominate the situation and not give the other person a chance to talk. There's all kind of things that go on. People are trying to belittle people and that kind of thing, and or go off, start howling, yelling, cursing, all this kind of stuff. You cannot get anything solved in that situation at all. So you have to realize that if that person cannot actually hear you or you cannot hear them, sometimes it's better to, of course, like I said, choose your battles. I'm not saying ignore the person because it's going to make things worse. Usually you'll be sitting there thinking about, oh my God, I shouldn't have did this. Or all these situations and scenarios, and the situation is not going to get better, but it's going to fester and brew over to something else that it doesn't even have to be. So like I said, you definitely have to think about, can you talk to this person without an argument? And can you all hear where each other's coming from? And just keep in mind that every situation does not need to be fought. But of course, some situations do. And that's what I mean by choose your battles. I know there's some folks that come in our lives, of course, that we may have situations with. Just realize that every single 100%, all the situations may not even need your input. I guess I put it that way. Like I said, sometimes things will just brew over. Sometimes things will just fester. Yes, they may get worse, or the person may get more upset. But of course, sometimes there's nothing that you can do, especially if you all cannot even hear each other. There's no point of coming together if y'all can't even communicate. The first things that come out of your mouth or her mouth or his mouth is all F you and all this kind of stuff going on. Nobody can even get anything out. Then what is the point? Just choose your battles wisely. Choose your battles wisely. But just keep in mind that some situations you cannot avoid, especially when you're working for somebody who is a difficult person. I've been there. Or you're, of course, living with somebody that's a difficult person, a partner. I have been there as well. Or you, of course, have friends that are difficult people. I've been there as well. Or you have a parent who's a difficult person. I can't say I've been there. We've had issues and that kind of thing. But like I said, there's difficult people everywhere. No matter who you're dealing with, sometimes you cannot avoid that. When I was a kid, I couldn't just up and leave my parents' house. I had no other place to go, didn't have a job, couldn't afford to live. I guess to have my own apartment, that kind of thing. So yes, I had to deal with the difficult situations that were going on until I can, of course, get out and do better. Like I said, there's some situations we just cannot avoid. But if it's a situation that you can pick your battle with, that you don't even have to deal with, then just do that. If that's what you want to do, definitely do that. I would recommend, if you want to do it, then go ahead and do it. Only if you don't think that person is going to be getting more upset, come back to retaliate, or anything along those lines. Folks do think about all kind of stuff in their mind when stuff is going on, and you have no idea somebody's mindset. They may not even tell you all that. So just keep that in mind. Sometimes it's good to, of course, let that situation go. The only thing I would say about letting situations go, the easiest thing, of course, if it's online. If it's somebody that you are friends with on Facebook or Instagram or somewhere, I don't know, wherever it is, and y'all got into an argument, or somebody didn't put some crazy stuff on your page, or you suck, or you're stupid, this kind of thing, pick your battles. Who cares? Leave this stuff alone and go about your business. But if it's somebody, like I said, you have to deal with, because the person that either, of course, is your boss that's paying your bills at this time, or a person that's your parent that you have to live with until you get out on your own, or a person that you're in a relationship with, you're married to. Of course, you have to work through that situation, not just up and leave and tell nobody nothing. You have to work through situations. So like I said, with those kind of people, you kind of have to deal with that kind of stuff. But like I said, there's ways to do that. Besides the picking your battles for those who don't mean nothing to you, but those who do mean something to you, you definitely have to deal with them situations, or else it can definitely get worse. The next one, learn how to take a pause break before dealing with a difficult person. I know sometimes that's possible and sometimes it's not. What I mean by the pause break is, of course, taking a breather before you're talking to or dealing with that particular person, because you know that you're going to get upset or whatever, or your temperature is going to rise, or whatever the case may be. Make sure that you take a pause break. That is always the key. Take a pause break. Take 5 minutes to breathe if you need to. Go outside and take a walk if you need to. Then come back and have that conversation. You have to learn how to calm yourself down in situations like that as well, and not just let it bother you so much. And like I said, going back to the situation I had this with the person that I rent from, I knew that going into this particular conversation I had with her the other day, that I had to take a pause. Actually, I took a pause break for about a few weeks, actually, before I even tried to talk to this person on the phone. There was many calls, many voicemails and that kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, I'm not trying to call this person. I'm not trying to go off again. I'm not trying to have them, of course, lead the way I act. I guess I put it that way. My thing is, when somebody's, of course, trigger you to that point, they have the control over you and your whole situation. Some of you all may not understand that, but when somebody's getting on your nerve and you feel like you can't deal with them and they're triggering you this much and that kind of thing, they're the lead person in that situation and you're not. They know how to push your buttons and get away with everything without you saying a word. Trust me, they all know that. Trust me. Somebody who does that knows that. And the way that you have to, of course, deal with that person is to calm yourself down. That's what I had to do as well. To learn to work with myself, to let me know that I cannot, of course, keep dealing with this person in this kind of manner. And that the only way that I can approach this is to, of course, make sure that I'm calm first. Before I get on the phone and say something that I shouldn't have said, then there's argument and all this kind of stuff. Somebody's hanging up. That's what happened in our last two conversations, actually. And I know, like I said, that I had to check myself, because I know that I've come too far to let things go back to how they used to be. With me howling and yelling and going off and all these kind of things. I worked on that for years. And I could not allow somebody to, of course, to be the ruler of my life and to dictate how I act. I had to get myself in check. And like I said, that's what I was doing this past week as well. Before I even called her and had a conversation. Had a conversation with her, I think on Saturday. Well, actually, I'm sorry, it was yesterday, on Sunday, on Father's Day. I had to check myself. Like I said, definitely have that pause break. Even if the pause break is a few days, a few weeks, a few hours, whatever it is, have that pause break. You can, like I said, reject their calls until you have made inner peace, or know that you can remain calm during the conversation. That's what I had. Like I said, I had to check myself to let myself know I've done this. I've done all this work over these years. And why in the hell am I letting this person bother me this much and get on my nerve this much? Something obviously I haven't dealt with within a person like this. I guess I put it that way. I knew what it came down to. I finally figured it out. But like I said, that was something I had to deal with. It came down to me figuring out that, of course, she's an older white, I'm not racist, that kind of thing at all, but she's in her 80s or whatever, older white lady. And every time we've had conversations, not just with me, but with my partner as well, she likes to talk down to us. I guess I put it that way. She wants to, of course, overtalk us and not listen and that kind of thing. Like she knows everything and we don't. And like I said, once my feelings are hurt by somebody, they're hurt. I think Maya Angelou said, somebody, they'll forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And it wasn't what she said or how she did the things, it's how she made me feel and him feel, of course, and a whole lot of other folks that she's dealt with in those particular situations. That's what I was upset about and triggered by. I don't like when somebody talks to me in certain kind of ways, makes me feel bad or feel like I don't know something or feel like I ain't nothing. I guess I put it that way, because that's exactly how she comes off. I don't know if it's a racist thing. That's what it seemed like to us. And it wasn't just he and I. It was other folks that came in contact with her that didn't even know her that said the similar kind of thing as well. We don't know. I don't know either. I never asked. So I really don't care at this point. But like I said, I had to figure out why I felt so triggered. And it took me back to thinking about other situations where I was in school and that kind of thing and feel like I was less than because of how somebody made me feel. And like I said, I had to work through that difficult situation and make sure that, like I said, check myself to get my inner peace before I even called this lady to say anything. And like I said, that was definitely something that I had to face and I had to figure out. It wasn't anything she had to do, it was something that I had to do. And I have a message on here. It says, we avoid them because we don't want to start nothing. Well, you can avoid somebody, but if that somebody is your parent or somebody that's paying your bills like an employer or a business or somebody that you're in a relationship with and that kind of thing, you can avoid them all you want, especially if it's somebody that you're near and dear that's in your house that you have to deal with all the time, going to work and that kind of thing. You can try to avoid them all you want. But like I said, I've tried that as well, but that does not work. The only times that the avoiding works is if it's somebody that you see in passing, or I don't know, you ain't really all that close to, or somebody that is online, that kind of thing, that you can just, of course, avoid them, be done with it, block them, whatever you're going to do with them. But like I said, the people that, of course, have a say-so in our lives that you, of course, have to deal with, if you're a child, having to deal with a parent who may be unreasonable, that kind of thing, you can't just up and leave because you have no way to support yourself. So you don't have a job, you don't have an apartment, so you kind of have to deal with that. All of us did growing up. Or if it's a boss that you have, yes, you can find another job, but in the meantime, while you find another job, you still have to deal with that difficult boss. That person at that time is, of course, your investor that's paying your bills, so you have to try to work with that person as best as you can. Sometimes there's no and ifs or buts about it. You still have to deal with it. But yes, like I said, you can try avoiding, but usually if it's somebody that's close to you that has a influence in your life, you usually cannot avoid them like that. unless you have a place to go, be by yourself, to do whatever it is you're going to do without that person. But just keep in mind that that person may come back to retaliate, or may come back, call, go off, or tell it, gossip about, because I've been done that way. Gossiped about to everybody, and people looking at me sideways, or whichever the case may be, which the stuff wasn't true, but that's how it was done. Gossiped about until there was no more gossip, and all my business told until there was no more business to even tell. That's how folks like that, when you avoid them, that's what they'll usually do. Not saying they'll hurt you, that kind of thing, but they'll hurt you mentally and emotionally, to make you feel less than and make you feel horrible, and to make everybody else think the same thing about you as well. Like I said, you can definitely avoid, but that's what that's going to get you to. I can't say the jobs will do that too much. Some may. Well, I'm pretty sure some do. I ain't going to say they may, but some do. Or they may fire you, or whatever the case may be. But like I said, when you're dealing with the person, your partner, your parents, your grandparents, or somebody in your family, that kind of thing, sometimes there's no avoiding those people unless you move out of state and you ain't got nothing else to do with them. They can call, send you a text, how you doing, that kind of thing. I'm fine, that's all. Other than that, you have to deal with people. Unless there's somebody online that you meet that you don't really care about, you can block them or do whatever, and then those kind of things, you can always avoid them. Other than that, dealing with folks that you're closer to or that pays your bills or that kind of thing is not usually that easy. You have to deal with that situation. Always remember that when you're, of course, having a conversation with somebody, taking that pause break, but just know that you need to be in a neutral environment to limit the negative reactions. You can make sure that you remain calm during the situation as much as you can, or the conversation, but make sure that you also, if you can, get to a neutral environment like a lunch date or that kind of thing, or a dinner date, to go out and talk to this person. Because usually if you're like in a restaurant, this person, hopefully people usually don't get up and just curse, holler, and yell. Sometimes they do, but a lot of times they won't, especially like in a social setting or a social environment. So make sure that you keep that in mind. Make sure that when you're doing that, make sure that you're stating your needs, telling people what you want clearly, and being assertive. I'm not saying being aggressive and go all off and, oh, you can't tell me this, and up on their face, that kind of thing. Not that kind of stuff at all. Being assertive, meaning that you're standing your ground and you're telling them how you feel, or whatever the conversation is about, and telling them exactly what you want and that kind of thing too. Stick to the facts. And avoid being defensive as much as you can. We all know that being defensive and getting defensive in a conversation is going to lead you into an argument. Possibly fist fighting, that kind of thing. I've seen that happen. I don't want to see that happen. I'm sure you don't either. So try to remain as calm as you can during that conversation. Try to be as polite as you can, and try to come from a place of love as much as you can. I know sometimes it's hard because some difficult folks are in your face and just being difficult, it seems like, to us for no reason. But we have to realize that hurt people as well. That always is the case. If that person's being difficult, they may have some hurt that they have not gotten past or gotten through yet. We always have to keep that in the back of our mind. I know, as being a social worker and being a life coach, I keep that in the back of my mind all the time, to know that hurt people. And that they may be responding in that manner because they have not dealt with some of the triggers and some of the past traumas that they've had. So like I said, as best as you can, try not to be defensive and try to come from a place with love as much as you can. Like I said, in the conversation that I had with a difficult person that I was dealing with over the weekend, in the past several weeks, the person that I'm renting from at this time, that was a definitely difficult person. I had that conversation actually twice with her on yesterday, actually. Because I could no longer avoid the situation that was going on because I was so triggered by that situation. And like I said, I had to deal with that, get my inner peace about it. But then, of course, call to make sure that I was not defensive, to make sure that I was coming from a place that was polite and with love as much as I could. And like I said, that's exactly what I did. I was successful with that on yesterday. But it did take a few weeks of work, I guess I put it that way as well. It wasn't easy for me to do, I guess I put it that way. But like I said, some maybe they do it in one day. I don't know. But sometimes when it's a deep-seated issue and a trigger that's going on, sometimes it takes a little while to, of course, deal with that. But like I said, definitely make sure that you take that pause break and come from a place with love, y'all, as best as you can. The next one, set your boundaries and limits and stand in those things and be consistent. Don't, of course, set your boundaries and, oh, well, maybe I can do this and maybe I can renegotiate that. Any boundaries that you have should be non-negotiables. Especially if you want to deal with that person in a different light. Like I said, sometimes you have to deal with folks in a different light. in order for them to, of course, not be so much of a difficult person inside your life. But you cannot set a boundary, say that you're not going to do this and do that, but then go back on your word. That person is going to know that they, of course, have you by the balls, I guess I put it that way. And they're going to know how to push your buttons, and they're going to know how to get back in your inner circle and do the same thing and repeat that same cycle that you all just came out of. For instance, if it's a relationship issue, you and your partner are talking about, let me see how you all communicate. You all may be arguing all the time, that kind of thing, but you all want to set some ground rules. I guess when we come together, we're not going to out-talk each other. We're not going to over-talk each other. We're going to sit here and listen to each other with what we have to say. Then when they're done, we're going to go ahead and speak. I guess those are simple things. But then when the conversation is going on, you can't say, say if you're trying to talk and that person interrupts you, then you can't say, oh, that's okay. Go ahead and say what you got to say. Hold firm to your boundaries. Let them know that it's you're speaking. Give you your time to speak. And then they can go in and speak afterwards. You have to, like I said, be assertive and stand on your word, stand your ground, and be consistent with that. And don't feed into the, oh, maybe I can try it this way, or maybe you can go ahead and talk this time. Next time I won't let you talk. Stand on your boundaries. If you keep being lax with your boundaries, they're going to keep running over your boundaries, and nothing's going to ever change. Like I said, sometimes with those boundaries, you have to minimize your interactions with that person as much as you can, if it's even possible. If you're going to work every day, I guess you can't really minimize your interactions. Well, to a certain extent, you only talk to them when you have to deal with work issues. You can do that. But if it's a parent or somebody that's raising you or a partner, you see that person every single day, you can't minimize your interaction sometimes. That's why you have to remember to come from a place of love as much as you can be and be as polite as you can. Regardless as to how that person is flipping out or whatever's going on, sometimes you have to be the bigger person in that situation. And like I said, sometimes if the relationship is so much severed and you've gotten older, you have to leave your parents' house, that kind of thing. Sometimes all you can do is love from a distance. Sometimes difficult people never change. And all you can do is love them from a distance. Meaning that, to, of course, happy birthday, call on a birthday, that kind of thing. Not going to visit as often. Sometimes you have to do that. For the holidays, you're not going to their house to visit for the holidays. Yes, it may hurt you and them. But you got to understand that your inner peace matters. Not just keeping the peace for them and sweeping things up on the carpet and walking on eggshells while you're in their house. That's not going to work. It will work to a certain extent, but you'll be all upset and angry that you sit up here and let them control your life, your entire life. You have to realize that if you want to, of course, to live a life and that kind of thing, sometimes you have to love from a distance. You shouldn't allow, once you get old enough to, of course, live on your own and that kind of thing, or if you're in a relationship even with somebody, and you, of course, are wanting to break things off, you have to love them from a distance. Sometimes you have to do that. I've been there, done that as well. Sometimes you have no other choice but to sever things and be done with it and go ahead and move on. And like I said, I know when it comes to the job and our parents and that kind of thing, sometimes it's not that easy. The job, you have to find another one, but the parents, you can't find another one. I guess I put it that way. But you sometimes have to love from a distance and minimize your interactions with that person. If that means no going over there for the holidays, or if that means that you're not going to call them every week or that kind of thing to check in because they always go off on you. You have to learn how, you have to do that for yourself. Like I said, your inner peace matters, and nobody should have that much control over your life to, of course, lead your inner peace all to chaos. I guess I put it that way. You don't want to live a life of chaos if you don't have to. I know that, like I said, growing up in my parents' home, I had to deal with that chaos until I was able to get out on my own, get my own job, and afford my own place. I had to put up with that stuff until I was able to do so. A lot of us have to, actually all of us have to as kids. We have no choice unless you have some other parent to go stay with, or unless you have somebody in the family who's willing to raise you. A lot of times that does not happen. You have to deal with those difficult parents or parents. Like I said, until you get out on your own. We all have to go through that as kids, or at least most of us do. And like I said, as an adult moving out, that kind of thing, you can definitely limit your interactions with that person. You don't have to have that person still trying to control your life and tell you how to live and all those types of things. You can definitely love from a distance. And then the last thing, of course, well, one of the last things, at some point, once we, of course, going through those situations, we have a difficult person. We're, of course, upset at the difficult person, that kind of thing. We're all upset and we're trying to limit our interactions and we're trying to do all these things. At some point, I know those are triggers that the person has touched on. At some point, we have to learn how to forgive. I'm not saying forgive them for what they have done. I'm not saying that at all. I'm definitely not saying that at all. You can forgive, but never forget what they've done to you and how they made you feel. You don't have to do. You can do that. The forgiveness is for you to, of course, have that inner peace. You don't want to continue to go through life, even though I did that as well back in the day too, going through life all angry and upset, taking things out on people who had no idea what was going on and who didn't even cause the hurt. But I was so hurt and upset, angry in the past, that kind of thing. Every person that, well, not everybody, but a lot of folks that I touched, of course, the attitude came out once they said something I was upset about. I was triggered, upset, going off, hollering, yelling, walking out. I did that a lot back in the past. And like I said, it wasn't until I learned to forgive those people that my life became a lot more peaceful. The inner peace is what's important here, y'all. And thank you, C-Dub-licious, for tuning in. I hope that you're doing well. Like I said, our inner peace is what matters. Going through life being unforgiving, of course, will keep you in the resentment mode, will keep you on your on pins and needles all day long. Resentment, bitterness, anger, all those types of things. I'm not saying what the person did was right. I don't care if you never tell them that you forgive them. What I'm talking about is your inner forgiveness of yourself. Whatever part you played in that situation, saying that I take responsibility for that part and move on. It's so you can have your inner peace. And thank you, Makiba, for tuning in. I hope that you're doing well. Like I said, that's what the forgiveness is for you to have the inner peace, and so that your soul can be happy and not living in resentment and bitterness for the rest of your life and die like that. I've known folks who've died like that, with a lot of bitterness, resentment, anger, and all those types of things. Just to let y'all know who are tuning in, I'm talking about how to deal with difficult people and kind of some of the steps that you can, of course, take, and some of the things that you can do to, of course, calm yourself down in order to deal with those folks that you, of course, just cannot avoid, especially if it's a parent or if it's family or if it's a job that you're dealing with that you just cannot avoid, your boss or your mom, your dad, or your sister, your brother, your husband, your wife. Sometimes you cannot avoid those people. And you have to learn how to deal with them. So like I said, that's what we're definitely talking about today. But this last little part, one of the last parts was talking about forgiveness and how that's for us to, of course, to embody. And like I said, I keep saying, next week, I'll talk about the stages of forgiveness, the information about how to forgive somebody. And like I said, it's not forgiving them for the things that they did wrong or didn't do or that kind of thing. But like I said, it's making sure that you have that inner peace with the whole entire situation, so that you won't be triggered by this person's voice, or so that you won't be triggered by this person's name being mentioned somewhere. Forgiveness gives you that. So that person still won't have chains on you, that every time you hear, like I said, hear their name, see their picture, hear their voice, that I can't stand this person, I hate this person, this kind of thing. You have to make peace with that. That's what forgiveness is. You making peace with that situation. Being able to, of course, live without that situation triggering you as much every day as possible. I know it's definitely, forgiveness is a thing. And like I said, I will talk about that next week, because it's definitely a process to go through. And it's not an easy process. Depends on what happened to you. But it can be done. I'm living proof of that. It can definitely be done. So let me say a few more things. I know I've kind of probably talked about these things already, but I just want to go back over a few things as well. Like I said in the beginning of the video, there's going to always be difficult people until the day you die. Shifting your mindset to realize that is key. So I have a net in her, y'all, with this fruit I have. Goodness. But like I said, you cannot avoid people sometimes. And you're going to have to change your mindset that difficult people are always going to be there, or they're always going to get on your nerve, this kind of thing. You have to shift your mindset. They're not going to go away. But like I said, they'll show up in various places in life situations. But like I said, shifting your mindset to know that you have the power to deal with a difficult person, that is key, y'all. Saying that, and that's actually the next thing. Saying that I can't deal with her, I can't deal with him, that kind of thing. Shifting that mindset to let yourself know that you have the power to deal with this person, that is key. Like I said, that's one of the things I had to do this past week with the person that I rent from. because I was so triggered by that person. She was still a very difficult person. I had to, of course, let myself know that there's no reason why I cannot deal with her. I have all the tools. I have all the information to do so. I just have to make sure that I work on that trigger. And that's exactly what I had to do. I had to shift my mindset around the whole entire thing to let myself know that I can deal with anybody on any situation, no matter what is going on. As long as I take these particular steps that I went over. And like I said, that's definitely something that shifting that mindset, it actually, of course, also eliminates all types of unnecessary negative thoughts. When I was thinking about this lady all last week and thinking about how she's going to react in this situation, she's going to be an a-hole and this kind of thing, and she's going to do this and all this kind of stuff. I took myself through all these unnecessary thoughts. But shifting your mindset to empower yourself, to let yourself know that I can deal with her, I can talk to him or her, whoever it is, and not be triggered by it, that's what you would have to do. You have to empower yourself on these things and not just sit there and dwell in the negative of what happened, what you think they may be saying about you, what you think that they may be thinking. You have no idea what they're saying or thinking. But we want to take ourselves down rabbit holes sometimes to say this person is saying this behind our back and this person's doing this. Unless you have proof, it did not happen. And like I said, that was one thing that I had to realize as well, that I couldn't keep saying that she's going to do this and this is going to happen, this is going to go on. All these kind of things I had to find out for myself. And actually have the conversation once I did calm down, once I, like I said, took my pause break and that kind of thing. And once I empowered myself with better thoughts and that I have control in this situation as well. That's when the conversations yesterday flowed smoothly. I had 2 conversations with her yesterday about this apartment, me moving, relocating, all that kind of stuff. And it went smoothly, actually. Not all the stuff that I was thinking about. So shifting that mindset is key. And just realize that we may not know how we come off to people sometimes, but just know that it always takes 2 to tango. So if I'm getting upset, that person's getting upset as well. If you're getting defensive, good Lord. Sorry, y'all, these gnats. If I'm getting defensive, that person's going to start getting defensive as well. We have to realize that you have to think about how you're coming across in that conversation too. You have to think about 3 things. How are your nonverbals, your body language? How are they? Are you throwing your hands up in the air? Oh, get out of my face. You get the hand, all this kind of stuff. What are you doing to this person? And that's causing them to, of course, still be upset and still carry this conversation on and all this and be so difficult. What are you doing? Like I said, it takes 2 to tango. You have to look at your behavior in that situation too. You have to also look at what is your verbal tone during this conversation. Are you hollering, yelling, cursing, that kind of thing? That's the tone. Are you getting loud, defensive, all that kind of stuff? That is your tone. How are you coming across in this situation? You have to think about those things. And the last one, are you even listening to what the person is saying? I know we always say that we're listening, this kind of thing, but are you listening to speak next? Or are you listening to actually understand where they're coming from? Those are things that we have to think about, y'all. I know I have it bad. I had it bad, way worse than I have it now. Back in the day, to just listen to respond. I wasn't listening to figure out the context, what was going on in their life, nothing else, but just to respond and to retaliate. That's all I was thinking about. Now I know how to listen, to understand the context and how they feel, all those types of things. We have to understand that when we're in a conversation with anybody. Like I said, it takes 2 to tango. You have to know what part you play in that situation as well. Sometimes it is just that person. Sometimes they are just being difficult. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. It definitely does happen. But sometimes we play a part in that too. Sometimes we do realize it and sometimes we don't realize it. Analyzing yourself is key here, y'all. Yourself and your mindset, those are key things, y'all. So like I said, I definitely want to thank you all for tuning in. Like I said, this video is all about how to deal with difficult people. Like I said, there's some folks that we can avoid and some folks that we can't avoid. And we still have to deal with them on some type of level. I gave a lot of examples in this video. If you just tuned in, make sure that you go back to check them out, y'all. And thank you. Is it Lou Balo? Thank you for tuning in. I hope I pronounced that right. But thank you for tuning in as well. But like I said, definitely go back and listen to the replay because I'm actually about to end the video shortly. But I just want to say thank you all for tuning in. And that I hope that if you listen to the live here or to the replay, I hope that this video helped you in some kind of way to deal with the next difficult person in your life. And when that situation shall, of course, arise again. I definitely want to say thank you all. So like I said, with that, I want to say like the same thing I said in the beginning. I'm here to, of course, inspire you to, of course, think bigger and to empower you to become who you are. So with that, I definitely want to say thank y'all for tuning in. Like I said, if you know somebody that can use this particular video and this lesson, definitely make sure that you tag them in the video below and share it on your pages. Feel free to share it anywhere that you want to share it as well. Whether it's on your blogs or on your podcast or on your YouTube or wherever you want to share it at, definitely feel free. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever it's at, you can feel free to share this video as well. So like I said, with that, I want to say thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all have a great evening. For all the comments and that kind of thing, I will get to reply to you all later on this evening. So take care, y'all, and have a great rest of your evening. And I'll see y'all next Sunday in the workshop Sunday. I guess I put it that way. Actually, next Sunday, I think that's the 4th of July. It may have to be on next Saturday. I'll look at my calendar to make sure. Actually, no, next Sunday is not the holiday. So I will see you all next Sunday at 4 o'clock Central Standard Time. So I'll see y'all then. Y'all take care. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Workshop Sunday. Take care, y'all.